Hey guys, this is EJ Holland with the Wolverine.com, and Michigan has scored another commitment on the recruiting trail. Before we dive into that, I want to invite you guys to subscribe to the Wolverine.com today for just $1 for 3 months. Brand new promotion. $1 for 3 months gets you the latest on everything happening during official visit season. You don't want to miss out as commitments are rolling in. Or you can be an annual member. Subscribe today for just $49.99 for 1 year. That gets you premium insider recruiting information, team information, basketball recruiting, NIL, transfer portal, and so much more. Plus, you get to be part of a great message board community with more than 8,000 unique individual users. Come join the discussion today. Show your fandom by subscribing to the Wolverine.com. All right, guys, let's talk about Michigan's newest commitment, Amarion Stewart, 4-star wide receiver out of Chicago, Kenwood. It's been a long time coming. Shout out B.O.B. and Asher Roth. 95% chance of landing Amarion Stewart on the On3 prediction machine going into his decision. This one has been trending towards Michigan for a long time. In fact, I put in a prediction way back in September of last year. Michigan immediately made an impression on Amarion Stewart. The first time they ever hosted him for a visit, they came back, got him on campus again for a game day in September, which is when I put in my prediction. The Wolverines did a fantastic job throughout this entire process of taking the lead and maintaining the lead. You had other schools come in with offers. Tennessee, Oregon, Georgia all offered Stewart. Michigan kept the lead. Wisconsin made a really big push. Luke Fickell and that new staff got him on campus for an official visit, tried to create some movement. They weren't able to. Again, Michigan, fantastic job of taking the lead and maintaining the lead throughout basically the entire process for Amarion Stewart. You really have to give Michigan wide receivers coach Ron Bellamy a lot of props when it comes to this commitment. He was the key factor in building this relationship with Stewart and his family. He just made Stewart feel like home. Every time Stewart came to campus, he said the same thing. Feels like home. And a big reason for that was Ron Bellamy. Not only did he build that personal connection with him, he did a fantastic job of showing Stewart how exactly he would fit into the offense. So on this recent official visit, he put on Stewart's tape, played it side by side with the tape of Roman Wilson, and compared each other's games, showed him how they used Wilson, showed him how they would use Stewart. With Roman Wilson departing, Bellamy told Stewart that he would have a chance to come in and fill that role. And we'll talk a little bit more about Stewart as a player here in a second. But just continuing on this recruiting job, Bellamy was that primary recruiter that got the job done. But you also have to give a lot of credit to Michigan head coach Jim Harbaugh, who met with Stewart and his family on multiple occasions, including the official visit, and area recruiter and offensive coordinator Sharon Moore. I feel like Moore still doesn't get enough credit for recruiting other positions outside of the offensive line. Remember, Sharon has been the area recruiter in Chicago and Chicagoland for several years. Since I've been on the Michigan beat, he's been the primary guy there. He's done a great job of building relationships with kids early on, identifying kids early on, building relationships with high school coaches and key figures around the Chicago area. And he did just that in the recruitment of Stewart. I know the coaches at Kenwood absolutely love Sharon Moore. They have close bonds with him as well. So you can't underestimate the value of Sharon Moore when it comes to recruitments in Chicago. So another big win out of the Windy City. And I think that helped out as well. Having guys already on the roster out of Chicago is something that really impressed Stewart throughout this entire recruitment. He's really good friends with Tyler Morris. They're part of the same club 7-on-7 program, Midwest Boom. Tyler Morris was the big name on Boom for a couple of years, and then that torch was passed on to Stewart. So Stewart really looks up to Morris. Morris was really involved on all of his visits, played a big role in helping recruit him to Ann Arbor. And I think that having Morris on the roster is going to help Stewart transition to Michigan that much more quickly. Having a guy to follow like Tyler, who's a high character kid, a high level football player who's due for a breakout season, I think that's really going to help with Stewart's progression at Michigan. But the Wolverines have just done a great job in Chicago over the last couple of years. You know, they've landed guys like J.J. McCarthy, who was also part of the Midwest Boom program, and another guy that Stewart really looked up to. In fact, the first time I ever met Amarion Stewart was at a Midwest Boom tournament where I was there to see J.J., and Amarion was on the youth team. And one of the media directors for Boom, Gus Ramos, pointed me over to Amarion Stewart and said, "This is the next guy up." And so I've been tracking Amarion's recruitment ever since then, and it's been extremely fun to follow. But back to my point, Michigan's landed guys like J.J. McCarthy. You know, we mentioned Tyler Morris. You have Trey Pierce coming in from last cycle, Jimmy Rolder on the roster as well. So Michigan continuing to build that Chicagoland pipeline. As far as Stewart as a player, like I said, I've seen him since he was in the 8th grade or whenever it was that I met him. And man, he's a really impressive prospect. He's not a guy that has those blazing verified times that Roman Wilson had, but he kind of has a similar style game in the sense that he can be that big play wide receiver. He's looked plenty fast this offseason. I had a chance to see Stewart in a couple of 7-on-7 tournaments, one in West Virginia and one out here in Baltimore, and he was a top performer in each of those tournaments. And a lot of that had to do with just his explosiveness, his ability to take the top off the defense when lined up on the outside or even in the slot. He is a guy that can play both spots. You can line him up outside, you can put him in the slot, and he's going to be a dynamic playmaker. But what I really like about Amarion Stewart is his tactical route running. He's very superior in that aspect of the game, very advanced when it comes to the route tree. He's super crisp in and out of breaks. He's very quick in a short area. He has some burst to him. So I really love that about Stewart. And on top of that, he's one of the more consistent pass catchers in the country. Just a really, really good player. He's solid. You're always going to find him open. He's a guy you can trust, a guy that can be a security blanket, much like fellow wide receiver commit Channing Goodwin. So a lot to like about Amarion Stewart's game. No, he's not ranked super, super high. He's the number 58 wide receiver in the country and the number 357 overall prospect nationally, but just really consistent, really fun player to watch. I think he's going to exceed his ranking once he arrives at Michigan and help the Wolverines continue to open up the offense. All right, guys, for more on everything Michigan recruiting, make sure to subscribe to thewolverine.com. Also, like this video and subscribe to our YouTube channel.